Good. Shall we move on to Rob? Rob actually make this full screen. Okay, I'll just leave it at that.
Perfect. You can go to the next slide.
Sure.
Oh, cool. All right, so I just created a quick little presentation about 3D printing. If anybody doesn't know, in the wood shop we actually do have a couple 3D printers. This is our biggest one that we have, the X1 Carbon, super user-friendly, and then just a picture of the table saw. I'm going to talk about a couple use cases, like I said, about integrating woodworking 3D printing, and then some examples. And ask any questions if you have any. So this is a statement for myself, and I think it's true. So 3D printing, the applications are limitless. It's really limited to how creative you can get. So I gave a couple options just to kind of pique your interest, but there's way, way more things you can do with 3D printing, especially with the advancement of it, advancing so quickly with materials science and whatnot. So for the use cases, Travis gave me a couple, and I thought they were really good. So he came up with artistic use cases, mechanical use cases, and practical use cases. So for artistic use cases, I just thought of a couple examples. Woodworking at its core is art. So I think artistic reasons to incorporate 3D printing is huge. Obviously, there are some things wood just can't do easily, or it's because of the material properties, and 3D printing can. So this is a really organic shape. So if you wanted to do that with wood, it'd be pretty difficult. You'd have to do it with hand, and you have to be pretty good at carving. You also can add accessories to your project. So drawer pulls, or really anything that you can think of, any hardware that you go out and buy, you can do with 3D printing. And making sure you're using the right filaments and all of that. And then also, 3D printing, like I said, is art. So integrating color into the art that we do is huge. And I got an example here of color accents using like a wedge mortise. So instead of using wood for that mortise, or the wedge, they use 3D printing. It has a couple, it might be able to be removed, and if it's being removed a lot, it could break. So 3D printing might be really good for something that could break down the line, and you need to just replace it quickly. And then practical. So, first, artistic, I kind of thought when I was going through it, things that you could do with wood. So you could do all of these things with wood, but it's just choosing to do with 3D printing because artistically you thought it would look best. And then for practical. So this is my favorite part of 3D printing, is doing practical things. And I brought one of those examples from the shop. So early when I joined, I was asked to kind of work on the glue drawer, and I just kind of thought of a glue caddy that we didn't really have, because I saw people carrying around the glue and then bringing cups and carrying around, and it looked like there was a better solution. So I designed a glue caddy. So it's obviously partially made of wood for structure, because 3D printing, it is strong, however, wood is stronger. So the strength part of the caddy I made out of the wood, but I also incorporated this 3D printing aspect of it, because there's a lot of shapes that would be very difficult to do. Also, an added benefit of 3D printing is 3D printing has different properties than wood. Wood glue loves to stick to wood, so if it's a caddy that's going to be used over a long period of time, the glue could eventually get caked on here, and I wanted to avoid that. So wood glue does not like sticking to plastic. So I made this part out of plastic, because it'll remain clean. And like I said, there's a bunch of complex shapes, so really a ton of opportunities to incorporate it for utilitarian reasons. And then recently I made a gift for my dad's birthday. It's one of those ring hook games, and as I was building it, I just had little holes cut out for like the shot glasses. It's a game, you pass the shot glass back and forth. And I saw the holes, and I was like, the shot glasses might get wet over time, and I don't want, it's the same as the table, I don't want the shot glasses to leave rings. So I incorporated these little discs that I put inside, basically as a little coaster inside, like a inset. So the 3D print protects the wood. And then also, when you're building furniture like drawer slides, people use like the nylon tape and all that to prevent slipping. You can do that with 3D printing. We can print nylon. So if you have custom cabinetry where you can't go out and buy these things, 3D printing can build those components for you. Any questions on that? And the last component that Travis thought of was mechanical. So obviously, they have the different properties. I thought of if you didn't have like a miter saw and you needed to cut that miter, you could use 3D printing instead to join those two surfaces. Or if you don't have fasteners, you could use 3D printing to build a fastener-less product. It's pretty neat, and it's also artistic as well, but it's purely mechanical. And then, again, a really complex kind of woodworking task is made easy with using that 3D printing, and it still serves that mechanical purpose. So there's things that I myself, at my level of woodworking skill, would feel much more comfortable doing with a 3D printer. And at the very least, you could also use this as a jig. You could create that and then draw the lines and then figure it out. 3D printing offers a lot of options for jigs, but these are examples of actually integrating it into the final product itself. So I thought it was a really interesting topic. Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yeah.
What 3D design software did you use for that?
So I use Fusion 360, but I used to use which is a desktop app where you can model things online. It takes a little bit of trial and error to get used to it, but I used to use Shaper, which is a app on the iPad. It's very intuitive. I think it's really easy to use. Yeah.
And that software is on the Digital Tools laptop,
The Fusion.
if anybody, yeah.
Sharing that information, that was such a lifetime and wealth of information. I could just sit there and eat that stuff up. So I will say, just like Travis said, if you want to get up, here, let me record this so I have proof that I was here.
Content for his channel.
See, he knows me better. The bottom line is, though, I want to just reemphasize, if you feel like you want to get up and leave because I'm boring the heck out of you, feel free to do so, but then you're going to miss out on whatever. Then you're going to miss out on whatever Alan's going to share with you. That would be lighting, and I'm sure that's going to be pretty cool. So real quickly, I've got a couple goals for this little presentation. One is to share insights on using AI-generated art in woodworking projects, and I have two main themes that I'll look at. One is things for laser projects that you might do, or things for 3D relief projects you might do. And I've had a couple videos recently on my YouTube channel where we talked about it. And some of them, the one on the relief side was actually a guest person that was on my channel a couple weeks ago on the 20th. I'll give you a link to that just so if you get interested in what we're talking about, you can go somewhere where there was somebody that really knew what he was talking about doing it. So here's some examples of laser projects I've used AI-generated art for. And I did little short videos, I do shorts for YouTube and Instagram. So this probably kind of demonstrates it without having the thing in front of me. So that's why I'm hoping this works. Maybe I have to put this in full screen. Yeah, I have to put it in full screen. I have to use it in presentation mode, maybe.
Yeah.
That's where'd my presentation? Oh, slideshow, right? Slideshow. Presenter.
Go down to the
play
bottom
from current
right-hand
slide.
corner.
Right there, right?
Yeah.
So now let's go over there. Do I have it on the wrong? There we go. So we'll click on this. Here's an example of something I did for a cribbage board that I actually donated to the holiday gift sale. I think almost every one of these will be something I donate to the holiday gift sale.
That's a hint, donated to the holiday dinner.
Yeah.
I think he has an entry in the fair too that won an award this year.
Yeah, I do.
Yay.
So now, this is, of course, is not letting me open it, although it did fine on my computer at home. So let's see what we can do here.
Are you connected to the internet?
Could you connect the, if you could click on it and get the URL and go to a browser and just place it in?
Well, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I could, but it wouldn't be, it'd be hard to tell.
Well, you got Wi-Fi, so.
I've got Wi-Fi and everything, so I don't know why it's doing that. Like I said, it
It's an
worked
Apple.
fine at home. So
What was that?
I've got them on this individual file, so we'll see which one pops up. All right, not that one. Well, I'll just go through each of these because each of these are examples. So let me go through the first one there. I did a little series and then I gave up. I didn't go all 15 days, but so here, this first example, this one, How many of you are familiar with the Sketch Carve toolpath and VCarve Pro? So this is one that I demonstrated how you could use this to create art. And so this, I created this from AI. This is an AI generated picture. And I created this and then I used the Sketch Carve CNC project. So the first thing that we do is we go to our AI website. This happens to be Microsoft Copilot Designer. I put in a couple prompts and I get some images to choose from, and then I grab one of the dolphin images and I bring it into Vectric. I put a vector around it to limit what it's going to draw. Then I use Vectric's new VCarve sketching toolpath. I play with the adjustments, get everything how I want it, and then hit calculate and preview, and this is what we get. These results in less than 20 minutes worth of playing with the software. Pretty cool, don't you think?
Yeah.
All right, so there was one example. Let's go over here to this example over here. I can't see it. My
Anything
mouse.
for your cursor?
What's going on with my mouse?
It's on there, it's in the middle of the picture now.
Like I said, I can't really see what's
It's on wheels, Rob, just move it around.
I'm trying,
Hold on,
but it keeps
Here, it's here.
disappearing.
it's here.
Yeah, but I can't see the, I
There it
gotta
is.
move the picture
I think you have
because
to select it for the play button to show up. So click on the
I
camera.
just did select it.
Yep, you're
And then it's,
asleep. There you go.
somehow it's disconnected there. And let's see if I can move it over here.
It's trying.
Oh, it just can't.
Oh, sorry.
No, you.
Oh, he's
parallels.
using Windows in Mac
Parallels,
OS.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not using the Windows in this.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, well, here's another one.
Goal is to upload
So this is a piece of art
for 15 days.
that
So
I-
you start by
it's like
uploading
6x6 that I
AI
donated,
data
like
into
little
Light
wall
Art,
art or
and
desk
then
art.
Start burning on the laser.
So this is using a laser generated. I'm gonna cut it with the laser
When we're all said and done.
versus the
I'm
CNC.
using the function of burning an image versus turning it into vectors. On another video, I'll demonstrate how I turn this into vectors and use vectors instead of an image to burn. I'm also gonna import some of these into my CNC work. So far, it looks pretty good. Clean up with the sander. I like my surf prep sander for these small types of projects. Works out
Is it
real
not showing
good.
to us?
And
It's
that's
not
what
showing
looks
it.
like. What do you think? Roll it off of there.
Like I said, I do not know what's going, something about this HDMI connection.
Hey, Rob, can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
One of the things that you told me you did was you have a theme that you want for a project, and you didn't have the artwork, and you didn't want to pay somebody for the artwork, and you were able to actually craft images with the ingredients you wanted, like
Yes.
downtown skyline of San Diego. With,
well, I was gonna get to all that
Oh, I
in the
see, okay,
presentation,
okay.
but I was just trying to show some of the examples.
Okay,
And unfortunately, like I say, for example, the presentation went away too. And I do not know why that's happening the way it is, but we will see if I can get there faster now. And I will just stay away from the actual examples, I guess. Try this one more time. I don't know why it's behaving. Anyway, bottom line is, here's some examples. So I did a sailboat on a cribbage board. I did some dolphins that, I did that whale picture that you saw that came out as art that I donated to the San Diego Fine Woodworkers. And maybe when I get done with this, I'll come back to those by just going straight to the file and bring it up and see if that works, but to move it along. And then this laser art project, oh, that was a sailboat. That was actually, the laser art project was the whale.
Is it this one?
There's your cribbage board.
Well, it's similar.
Oh.
So yeah, it's one of the reasons you brought it up, huh? Thank you. So this is an example. I did one that had a sailboat with the Coronado Bay Bridge in the background and San Diego skyline in it. And that's the one you saw in the fair. If anybody went to the fair and saw my cribbage board in the fair that I won a prize for, it was a bigger cribbage board. But the way I came up with the art, we're going to get to what Travis was talking about. And so this one's basically, I said, give me one with the Point Loma lighthouse and other Point Loma artifacts in San Diego. And this is what it generated. And so the way I go about doing that is there are two different thoughts on this. And like I say, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but my process for a laser project and anything dealing with AI, and you can go whatever AI generation tool you want to use. I'd like to get into Midjourney, but it's too freaking confusing for me right now, and I haven't spent enough time in it. But I'm kind of limited on going in there because I've been having pretty successful results so far with Copilot Designer. And it all boils down to what you put in with the search term. So I belong to a learning class where we talked about doing all of this. And he gave us his search term, and I've been using this, and it's been working pretty well. And so, for example, if I'm going to use it in the laser, which is primarily engraving an image or vectors, right? I put in something like this. I go to the Copilot, and I go create a high quality black and white image, and I think I have a video on my YouTube channel of me doing one of these. Create a high quality black and white image designed in a clip art style that emphasizes strong contrast and clean lines. It's those key words, right? Black and white, clip art style that emphasizes strong contrast and clean lines. This image should feature simple yet compelling whatever you want. So that's when I put in a sailboat in San Diego Harbor with the Coronado Bay Bridge in the back. Or I put in for that whale one, a pot of whales playing, or something like that, right? And then it will pop up, and if this will cooperate in a minute, I will show you some of the images, for example, that I've generated doing that. And then you just pick whatever you like, and you go through the process of getting ready to put it in the Lightburn. So if changes are needed, then you would either go to like a Adobe Illustrator, Affinity, whatever Photoshop thing you guys like to use and you might be used to, and you'd make any modifications, because likely they never come out just perfect. That one came out pretty good, but like one of the dolphins I did, half the border didn't show up right, the other half did. And you'll find that a lot, is it'll generate a border, but the border's not right, so you have to use like clipping tools and other things to try to get it to the right face. So you modify it to get it where you want it in a Photoshop software. You may not have to, but if you do, that's what you do. And then what I typically do is I will take it to some sort of upscaler or something to give you just a little more definition. Not always necessary, but usually helpful. And then I process the AI art through ImageR. And I can either do that to upscale it, or I can do that to turn it into vectors, or I can do it to make for better engraves in Lightburn. If you're not familiar with ImageR, I think they now started charging a fee. Before it used to be free, but I think there's a small fee now. They might have a free version, I'm not sure. And then once you've got the image processed through that software, which is a web-based software, you go ahead and put it into Lightburn, either in vector format or in image format, and then Lightburn will go ahead and engrave it with whatever settings you put into Lightburn. And it's pretty simple and straightforward, and the results you get are pretty awesome, in my opinion, for the amount of work it took to get it. But more importantly is, am I in your way?
No, I wanted to take a picture of that.
Oh, well, I'm a pretty big guy, I could be blocking the screen. More importantly, though, is I think where where Travis was going also, is that I'm not an artist, and I can't think very creatively like some of you can. So, but I can get an idea, and like one of the ideas I'm working on right now that I haven't put in the search terms is I also make Mancala boards, for those of you that know what that is, for the holiday gift sale. And normally I just put a simple design on it that says Moncala, pretty non-specific, bland kind of thing. But I'm thinking now that I've learned this, I want to go do some AI searches for things like, give me a picture with these other prompts, right, that I talked about, of animals marching through an African safari or African background, or give me animals from the San Diego Zoo in a format that will fit a square format, a rectangle format that can fit on the cover of that. I haven't done that yet, but that's my next step, is I want to do something like that. So you just kind of think of the theme you want, and then it throws out picture after picture after picture, and you just choose. And then you download it, and then you process it. It's pretty amazing and easy if you're not an artist, which then threatens the artistic community because they work so hard to come up with these ideas, and I understand it. But heck, it works for me.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
How concerned do you need to be about copyright?
None. Once you have it out of AI, so far the legal precedence is it's your own. You can do with whatever you want. So it becomes your art. Now I don't think they allow you to put a copyright on or anything else.
No.
All right, but
It also-
it is your art. Yeah.
It also helps to add your own touch to it.
Very much so. So you put your
putting it
own
in-
touches.
Yeah, putting it into Illustrator and adding things or mixing it up, because sometimes they take from other images in order to create what you have.
Right, and sometimes it's not all that accurate, and you got to decide what you want to do. Let me give you an example of one that I discovered. So I put all that stuff in about Point Loma monuments and stuff, and then I said, you know, I really need to go look at that Point Loma lighthouse because I didn't know we had anything that tall and spectacular. Well, guess what? We don't. So I called up pictures on Google of the Point Loma lighthouse, and it's a half of that size with a building. Now, some of you probably recognize that, but I haven't been there. So in reality, if somebody was persnickety, they'd say, "You liar, that's not Point Loma lighthouse." Sue me. It's for a good cause, you know?
So the other thing though, Rob, the one that you did of San Diego with the Coronado Bay Bridge and the dolphins in it, if you look at that, he told it to put in the skyline of San Diego, the Coronado Bay Bridge and dolphin. It isn't right.
Yeah.
You're here on
They all
the
fit
wrong
in.
side of the world looking.
I couldn't tell. Looked good to me.
It has all the landmarks in it, but they're not in the right place. So.
And I could add, because I design challenge coins, and I did one that said the Sacramento Capitol building. You would think, you know, it's the Capitol building. It's one that's kind of like it, but clearly not the Sacramento Capitol building.
So
You
just
have to-
recognize those limitations,
Yeah.
right? But it's art, and it's, I am older, so anyway, so those are examples of things for the laser, and we're woodworkers. So the other thing that is good is examples of things for 3D relief. Well, I actually brought the example of some whales that I had done, and this is the sailboat one. Oh, so I forgot I had these. These were my drafts, right? These were, how do I get them to fit on the cribbage board,
You're
the right size, you know? And so if you want to pass these and look, feel free to do that. So anyway, so those are laser ones. Let's go to 3D examples. Would be really nice if it worked. I'll try one more time here. Slideshow from the current one. And for some reason it called up all my bamboo stuff. That makes sense. I was printing a mini-me there. Close this for now. Why is it, do you have any idea why it's not letting me
No.
No.
Anybody else?
I did just, it came up.
Probably not like that.
It's just, I've got my display on the wrong side now, so I've got to reverse it when I'm thinking. So here's an example of one. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a terrific day. I am. I'm getting ready. These are all
for
30 to
our
45
live tonight.
seconds, so.
I'm looking forward to my special guest, Chris Peltier, and some of the things he's doing with how to take AI art and turn it into a 3D rendering. Look at some of his work. He's going to go through his process tonight. Tune in so you can see what's going on.
I got a peaceful, easy feeling. I know you won't let me down, 'cause I'm already standing on the ground.
There's one scary looking fish.
Feed me, see.
So those are,
House of Horrors.
what I was trying to show you, those were all examples of Chris's models that he did, all generated from AI, putting in specific thoughts. And I'll try to close that. And so the, see if I can go forward here now. So there, So here was one that I did, that I got from AI. And so I got this picture. Basically, my granddaughter likes koalas. So I said, give me a koala in a tree looking out at you like it's saying hi or something like that. And it allowed me to get this. Now the difference is, what I wanted to point out is, instead of going through a lot of these now because of time, let me click here, that it's important to use different search criteria, because the search criteria for all of the other black and white images were just that. They were black and white clip art style that you could turn into vectors pretty easy and photos pretty easy. As compared to this is, you want some depth to it. You want something contrast. So you can see my search term for this goes something like this. Instead of black and white, I say provide a grayscale image of a whatever koala eating in the trees, or whatever I want to say, with the highest possible contrast, representing a relief model for CNC routing. I specifically say that in there. The image must feature extremely balanced lighting to make details visible across the model with very clear, sharp contours and textures. You can use other prompts that you might find work better. This I just know has been working for me. All right? And so all of this is covered also in that full videos that I referenced up there. If you go to my YouTube channel, live from 6:20, it's over an hour long. It's a step-by-step tutorial. So if you're interested in it, it's a good source to go, where my friend Chris goes through his whole process from A to Z, and what he's describing in that video is, and because I didn't want to carve it on wood, guess what else you can do with those 3D models?
Oh.
Since we've been talking about 3D printing. So he goes through step by step, and I'll pass this around, how he developed this whitetail buck. Somebody asked him, could you do a whitetail buck for me? And he sells his little models and stuff like that. And this model, by the way, he made available on my website for free for anybody that wanted to download it, especially if they watched the video. I think there's a coupon code in the video or something. So that's one that I just, instead of putting it onto wood, I just made a 3D print out of it. And so you can, any of these models that you do, and these are, you have to have Aspire to do this. Any of these models you do in Aspire, you can export out of Aspire as an STL. So we'll go on, I know. And then here's a process with this one. I take it out of the AI, I put it in ImageR, then I put it either ImageR or a Pixel image upscaler, that's free. Upscale it to whatever the free version is. There's a paid version and a free version. Then I take that from there. One of the things you have to do to go through this process is you got to turn it into a depth map. So you take the image that you get out of the AI, you turn it into a depth map using this free software, Marigold Depth Estimation, and then you process that AI image that you originally took, and you the depth map, you have to take both of them into Aspire, and then you work through the process of turning it into a 3D model. Because Aspire actually has a button in it where you can take a bitmap and turn it into a component. And so the way it turns the original AI image into a component is one level, and then by having the depth map, that's where you can get the real thickness and contrast. And there's some steps you gotta know about inverting the image and stuff. All of that's in that video step by step. Not that I'm saying you gotta go to that video, but if you're wondering how to do it, there's a place that we tried to lay it out.
We have made him some little articulated dinosaurs, and these are all single prints. They print flat like this,
And they don't take 17 hours.
and they don't take 17 hours. These are like 20 minutes. And then he's a Minecraft guy, so we had to get the Minecraft guys. But when we talked about combining things, so Chris made these San Diego LiDAR map things for us on the 3D printer. Somebody goes, yeah, but they're all plastic. It's like, yeah, it's 3D printer. We do it here. So we said, well, let's make a wooden tray. So Joe Penny, there you go. Oh, he ran off. I got him to make the wooden trays on the CNC machine, and we just started out with San Diego carved in here. We were going to fill it with something. Then we decided not to do that. So then he actually went in and did San Diego, and then he did the inlay with the two methods where you have a positive and a negative and put them together.
Which, by the way, is now in a much more automated fashion in VCarve 12.
Yeah.
You can do the VCarve inlays very nicely with VCarve 12.
So he did one at home and brought it in, but we didn't have the font here that he had, so he screwed this one up. So in the process of screwing it up, then he routed it out and did another one, so it has a more special thing.
Very good.
But the other, so the other thing we talk about utility. On Friday, one of the guys is making this device. It's all out of wood. He's from the East Coast. Nobody could figure out what it was. It's an oyster shucker, and it goes on the table, and you put it here, and you put the oyster in, and then you push the knife in, so you don't have to cut your hand with the knife. Well, we said, wouldn't it be cool if we had an oyster shell that we could put in there so that you could see what it was like? So Rob brought me a 3D printed oyster shell. But the other thing was, besides the 3D printer that Chris caused me to get, I finally broke loose and got the fiber laser at my house. So after it's over, if you want to come up and look at this stuff.
Tell us what fiber is different from our
So-
CO2 laser.
So the difference in a fiber laser and a CO2 laser is a CO2 laser will not engrave metal. Basically, it doesn't cut metal. You can put that LPT 100 crap on there and mark it, but that's it. This thing will take off, I got a 30-watt fiber laser. It takes off 0.08 millimeters of metal per pass, okay? But the cool thing about this is when you pay the $90 to upgrade your light burn so that you can use it with a Galvo laser, it gives you the ability to do a 3D slicing, just like the 3D printer. So you can take a depth map picture, which is what Rob was talking about making with ImageR and all that stuff for a CNC machine. I can take that thing and put it in. I can tell it to give me however many levels I want, 250 slices. So that's what this is. This is 250 slices and an hour and a half of laser time, okay? It's,
What's your electric bill?
it doesn't pull that much.
It's a 30-watt laser.
Yeah, it's a 30-watt laser, it probably pulls less than my air conditioner, my window air conditioner that I have to keep it cool. But I've got a whole lot of brass ones here that I'm haven't started doing coins yet because the coins are like $2-3 a piece. So I just went and got brass blanks. I'm gonna recycle this so I can go buy more brass blanks after it's done. You guys can come up and look at that after we're done.
So guys, one of the things that I just witnessed, and this has to do with